Thank you all so much for coming today. We're really excited to have Cara O'Hare present to us on the business model canvas. So Cara is actually StartUpNV's accelerator and incubator operations manager, which is really exciting. She's been working with startup companies for over 7 years on their business model strategy. And today she's going to be really great in helping us out in learning how to do that for ourselves. And she'll walk us through an interactive activity. So let's give it up for Cara O'Hare.
Welcome. Can I see a show of hands? How many people have used the business model canvas, have heard of the business model canvas? Okay, all right, that's great, a couple. So we're going to go through this. If you didn't get a copy, there's copies at the front plus an app, and we have extra, which is great, so you can kind of scribble all over on the app. But the business model canvas is a really simple way to distill your business into 9 basic building blocks. The reason that we have a tool like this is so that we can pivot, we can change our minds. The concept of the 30-page business model it's gone, it's in the past. Really, the purpose of the business model canvas is to create bullets of all of the different categories and be able to brainstorm and pivot with your team and to be very flexible when you're changing. So this is all part of the lean startup movement. So let's break this apart. Everything on the right side is the front stage, and everything on the left is the backstage. So if you've ever been to a play or seen a presentation, we all can see what's on the stage. We can see the characters, we can see the costumes, we can see the story. That's the same thing with business, right? You know what Uber looks like, you know what Tesla looks like based on their front stage activities. But we don't know what's happening in the backside. We don't know who their supporting characters are. So what happens a lot of the time, especially if you've never started a business before and you're really new to the startup world, people see the front stage and they think that that's the whole business. And you end up building kind of a hollow business model. You start, and some symptoms of this, you start maybe with your website and your business cards. Not to say that those aren't a good place to start, but if you're doing a startup and you're doing something that's different, you're going to need to pivot your business model and understand a lot more details before you're even ready to get into your marketing plan. So everything on the right is what your audience sees, and everything on the left is your supporting characters. And we're going to go through each of these together, and then we're going to write our own business models, and we're going to present them to each other just to, get the creative juices flowing and have an opportunity to put our thoughts and our concepts into action and put them on to paper. Before we get started, anyone have any questions about that? Okay. So your value proposition, and I'm going to do this a little bit out of order from my slides. Your value proposition is really where you want to start. Your value proposition is, at least in terms of this canvas, specifically what your product is, your service, but also the things that you have created that add value. So what are those features? What are the gains that you're giving to your customers? What pains are you relieving? Break down each of those things individually. That is a value offering. Your customers are going to be people that we're creating value for. Specifically, I don't want to see, ages 25 to 36 women or just general groups. I want to see customer segments that matter, right? So for example, if I'm selling solar panels and I'm selling it to all homeowners, it's going to be difficult to go house to house, but if you can think of associations or groups that they all belong to, it'll be easier for you. It'll be easier for you to have the voice of your customer by talking to one person who represents the entire group. So when you're thinking about your customer segment and your value proposition, you want to think about how do each of the items of value that I am creating, how do they land with my customers? Very specific, right? If I have some features, I can't say all people age 25 to 36, right? It's going to be something very specific here. So our channels and our customer relationships. Customer relationships are what keeps people coming back. It's what keeps the conversation alive. It's what we know the business by. So if you're on a road trip and you see a random coffee shop on the side of the road, and you see a Starbucks, the random coffee shop you might go to one time, and that's the end of your relationship. You saw them, they're a great little artisanal coffee shop, but I have no reason to ever go back other than they were great, they look good. But Starbucks has their rewards, they have their stars, they have their app, they have all of these benefits so that you choose them over a random other coffee shop. That's a relationship tool that they have. What can you incorporate into your business that keeps that relationship with their customers so that they're not just buying it one time and then walking away? Makes them remember to come back to you. You know, maybe it's your brand, but maybe it's an app, maybe it's a reward system. And if you look around and you look at like Rayleigh's and you look at these other grocery stores, they all have these rewards programs or maybe their own credit card. That's all a form of their customer relationship strategy. Now, channel is how you are delivering that value to your customer. You can do that in a physical channel, and it's also a marketing social channel. But really, how am I getting this concept, this product I have made, into the hands or into the minds of my customers? So really, we're looking at this again as our front stage. This is the play. This is what our audience sees. My product, for whom, this is how they heard about me, and this is why I keep coming back. This is everything that is the face of your company. Do we have any questions about this before we move on? We're going to come back to revenue streams. Now we're going to talk about key partners. Key partners are going to be attached to your value and to your customer in the fact that your partners should only be people who are helping you generate the thing of value, your product, they're helping you manufacture it possibly, or help you with your relationship to your customer. So specific, your key partners are only attached to your value proposition and your customer segment. If you have somebody in this supporting role who is not doing one of those two things, take them off the list. I know a lot of people like to put key partners on the list because, oh, they've been here since the beginning and they support me, or they're my roommate, or they're my friend, or they're my family member. When you add the wrong people to the table, especially at the startup phase, it's one of the #1 things that kills a company, having the wrong people at the table. So make sure that your key partners who are in the backstage, who are supporting everything on the front stage, that they're all there for a very specific reason. They're helping you do something. That sounds really simple, but your customer relationships and the management of your relationships with your people, it's actually a very nuanced thing, and it's very important to be very, very careful with it.
Could you give us more of who is or isn't a key partner? I'm a little fuzzy here.
Yeah, so my favorite definition of partners don't pay each other, they help each other get paid. Okay, so partners don't pay each other, they help each other get paid. Yes.
So like if I'm, sorry, I didn't remember. So if I was in HVAC and I had a strategic partner of equipment manufacturer, that would be like, you know, even though it might be a vendor relationship, it could still be a key partner. Right?
It could still be a key partner because you are pooling resources to generate something new of value. In that case, that person is helping you generate your value proposition.
Okay.
Now, if you were to partner with somebody who could get you connected to a whole group of potential customers, then you're partnered with them for your customer segments. There is going to be a different spot on this canvas for people that you do pay. You know, there are things that we have to pay for, websites and stuff, right? But the people who are in your partner supporting role, they are not people you should pay. They're people who you partner with, you pool resources with in order to create something that will eventually make you. Does that help?
So maybe I call it strategic partners. Is that?
Sure. Yeah, that works too.
So, Cara, where would you put a distributor reseller? Is that would that be on the channel side or the front side?
That would actually be on the channels. Yeah, because that's how you deliver it to your customer. So our channels are our physical channels and our marketing channels. So physical channels is how I'm delivering this physical value. In this case, I've got this little delivery truck. Which is great. Now at the top over here, we've got key activities. Simply, this is our to-do list. Right? So of everything that we have defined so far, our value, our customers, our channels, our relationships, our key partners, there are a series of things that we need to do in order to build that value, in order to establish that relationship with that customer, and other things. And so what you just want to do is you want to document in your key activities your to-do list. These are key items that you need to do in order to develop your value. Your key resources here, think of this as your wish list. This is the only place on the box that you're going to put things that you do pay for. So you can put your person that, your website person, or maybe you're paying your manufacturer. Things that you pay for go into your key resources. So key partners, key activities, and key resources are the backstage where they support everything that's happening on the front stage, supporting roles. Our key activities are done with our key partners, and that usually should mean that you're building the product or you're establishing a relationship with that customer. We are going to purchase the things that are in our key resources, and we are going to maintain our relationships with our customers by doing this. Maybe it's a loyalty program, it's a newsletter, that sort of thing. Now let's talk about the cost structure and the revenue. Now, cost structure, we're not going to put actual numbers on here, right? I don't want 5-year projections. I don't want actual numbers at all. This is just the ways that we are going to make and spend money. So your cost structure on the left are everything that we have talked about so far that has a price tag. So usually the things that are in your key resources box are also in your cost structure box. The channels sometimes cost some money. The value product you're building itself, your cost of goods sold, you could talk about that. Everything that is going to be a negative on your bottom line is going to be going into the cost. Now, revenue streams, again, no numbers. It's just going to be the different ways we're going to make money. So maybe this is a one-off purchase, maybe this is a subscription, maybe I've got in-app purchases. This is all the different ways that I will make. And a really great way of doing this is because we're not going to get caught up in the numbers and we're not going to get caught up in Excel spreadsheets, we can just look at the items I have in the cost and the items I have in the revenue, and we can start to talk about over time, how am I going to reduce that cost? Maybe, my product has been built. I have spent less money on marketing because I have a well-known brand. These costs will diminish over time. That's the goal. And you're going to want to have that increase rate. So this is generally the business model canvas. We're going to take some time to go through each of these individually, and then I want you guys to stand up and present it to each other and to me. And we do have some rules on how we want to do this canvas. And here's the order. I'll put this order back up when we're doing the exercise so that you have it. But remember, it's value proposition, customer segment, customer relationship, channels, front stage activities. Supporting is your key partners, your key activities, your key resources. Everything that you have in these boxes needs to only be there to support things on the front stage. And then our cost structure and our revenue streams. All very simple. Don't make it complicated. So these are going to be the rules that we're going to follow to fill out our canvases. I don't want sentences. I want bullet points, and I want you to separate out different ideas into different bullet points. So different features, different products, different customer segments, different key partners. Everybody needs to be separate on there, and everything needs to be connected. So there's this, we don't want any orphan items, right? Orphan items are, I have, a one-to-one on my business model canvas that says, I built this feature because Maggie really wants it, and I'm going to work with Audrey as my key partner in order to build it. But wait, why is Cara on the key partners list? What is she creating of value, right? There's not going to be an individual item in any of these boxes that's not connected to somebody. If there is, you're striking it out. And if you really believe that person belongs or that item belongs on your box, then you have to find something to match it to in one of your other boxes. Okay, So again, the value propositions, everything on the right is front stage, which means that this is what most people see when they see a business, right? You could talk about Tesla, you could talk about Apple, you could name this right now. But you couldn't tell me right now who exactly their key partners are. You couldn't tell me exactly what they're doing today. Who are they meeting with? What are they doing? That's all backstage activities. We can only guess at. So front stage activities, your value proposition is going to be products, it's going to be features, it's going to be value add. That's going to be for a very specific customer, and customer groups are important, not just generic demographics, but, you know, associations, groups that people belong to, like homeowners associations, you know, types of things like that. Customer relationships are how we maintain the relationship with them. I had mentioned how Starbucks uses their loyalty programs in their apps. And the channel is how we physically or socially connect the value to our customers. So channel is physical channels or social media channels. So it could be the actual delivery mechanism. It could be the communication method. It's how I take this thing and I put it either in my head or into my hands. All right, so we're gonna do the exercise. All right, everybody, we're going to listen.
My P2P and P2B heuristics provides value to city partners, municipalities, county governments, and state government by providing a public-private partnership based on what's called a P3 model. We pay the money to build the infrastructure and we share the revenues. Example, parking. We go in and we subsidize the new tech parking and EV parking, and then we share the revenues. In order to deliver value to our customers, we have partnered with ITS. Let me say this in a different way. We want to partner with ITS. We haven't quite gotten married yet. ITS is the largest company that builds traffic signals for municipalities. Here in Reno, they're one of the providers for the traffic signals here. We're non-competitive, so we would be a parking arm, or at least a partner parking arm to their traffic signals and traffic management. And so why would we partner with them? Access to customers. They have one of the largest implementation of traffic systems in the United States. We expect to spend money on marketing, sales, and further tech development, but our core tech, which is our heuristics technology, has already been built. So we're just building on top of that. And we're going to market as soon as next week. Hooray! And we plan to make money by sharing revenue with our client cities. So we go to the city and say, look, you need to upgrade. You got to do all this stuff to become a smart city. And so we will pay for the infrastructure, but we will share the user fees with you. So we're true partnership, and that's under what's called a P3 mobility contract. And so that's it.
Actually, before we start, go to the next person. What did you think about that way of presenting your business model? Was that clear and succinct? Do you understand what he does? Could be more succinct. This is a place to start, right? This is 3 sentences. This is a fill in the blank, and we refine it as we go, which is great. So it's always a place to start.
Our value proposition is that we are an on-site lab that tests urine for drug presence. We have results in 1 hour. We have an accurate $350,000 lab with a Siemens machine, and we get our customers in and out in 15 minutes. Number 1. Number 2, our customer segments are employers who have employees who care about risk. So transportation companies, casinos, construction companies, anything where there's a liability, and DOT, Department of Transportation people, truckers. We think there's more untapped potential here of other people who would be interested in that service.
Relationship.
Thank you. Customer relationships. I'm not sure this one. We certainly don't have an app, but we definitely have contracts with all of our folks.
Okay. Your relationship is like, how do we keep coming back? It could be your brand loyalty. It could be regulation. Yeah, regulation.
Yeah,
They
right now
have
it's
to
a
work
lot
with you.
So it's 13-year business, but we just purchased it. So
Okay.
there's definitely brand loyalty there and customer relationships. Channels is people know about us from us making phone calls from our website and baby bit as we explore and expand on LinkedIn.
And your partners.
And our key partners are Siemens, who makes our equipment, and looking to partner with people like private detectives and people who do background checks. And that's a strategic partner opportunity for us.
That also counts as a channel in that case too.
Okay.
Because they would be a channel to your customer.
Okay, cool.
Yelp is too, just a channel. Yelp?
Oh, yes, and so is Google Maps. Google, we started, when we took over the business, we had an average rating of 2.1 and we're now up to 3.1. And revenue stream, no cost.
Key activities and key resources.
Key activities are our website, LinkedIn. Cost structure is our lab equipment. Assays, labor, we have 1 employee. And our revenue streams, and our goal is to diversify. Right now, our revenue stream comes that we have contracts with virtually every big company and they pay us, people come in.
Cool, thank you.
Sure.
Privileged to be here. My name's Dave Schwatter. I'm president and CEO of Shapeshift Cypress LLC. My quantum safe data encryption technology provides global data processing infrastructures by value by stopping the data decryption attacks. In order to deliver value to our customers, we hope to partner with IBM, Google, Microsoft, major Silicon Valley enterprises who will help us achieve access to customers. We expect to spend money on patent filings, customer acquisition, and plan to make money by licensing our technology for use in major corporations and customer segments such as financial industry, department of militaries, government, and so on. And we will license our technology, and we will also generate revenue with education and technology.
Hi, my name is Victor Honain, Executive VP of Avanos Corporation. We're working on some projects, and there is one project here that seems to be of more urgency than others. And we got to know about it recently. It's we're building basically a device for internal cranial pressure monitoring. And right now, basically, if you have somebody who has a brain injury, stroke, to measure internal cranial pressure, they do invasive procedure. So we're trying to do monitoring without any invasive procedure, basically. And we're doing this because it's very crucial. Anybody knows how somebody had a stroke, some military, especially on the field when they got injured, head injury, car accidents, all of those. So it's very important, and we're trying basically to provide value to medical services provider and the patients. And this our partners will be basically, especially clinics where we're going to do clinical trials. Some people familiar with FDA procedures to get FDA approval, and some manufacturers, specialty manufacturers. The goal is to build basically a device ready, or at least to partner maybe with some ready medical equipment provider to do a royalty type of licensing. We expect to spend money on a lot of things. Proof of concept, prototype, clinical trials, IP protection, and building basically initial device. And revenue source is basically selling those devices. This device might be, at one point, we might anticipate to become part of the vital signs. I mean, it's needed everywhere. A clinic, you visit a doctor, you go emergency, you go hospital, you go urgent care, you go EMTs will have it. So we look forward to work on this. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Elisa Cafaretta. I just retired from the state, so looking for my new gig. This is perfect timing. So my workforce solutions brokerage provides value to new Nevada businesses that are required to either have a workforce development plan or a diversity, equity, and inclusion plan. By creating these required plans and brokering the required training and partnerships that will help them, these companies ultimately find the workers they need. In order to deliver value to our customers, we have partnered with certified diversity, equity, and inclusion executive and state workforce resources that provide this training. They will help us achieve these workforce development and equity and inclusion plans and partnerships. We expect to spend money on mostly statewide travel, building relationship with partners and potential clients, and to make money either by consulting for one-time plans, ongoing change management for the company to incorporate this work into their own business, or retainers to help execute the plan.
Great, that was great.
So, hey, everybody, my name is Jim Bowl. I just joined the mentor program here at StartUpNV. I'm an angel investor, a little startup. I tried to write this thing off. A company called Kalua Labs. And if you look at what's going on the internet today, see this transition from text-based internet to video-based internet, a lot of blogs and audio as well. The one area that these guys are trying to attack has to do with building search that allows you to span all those different media types. So imagine when you go to Google and you're searching for a website, it's not just searching websites, it's looking at blogs, it's looking at videos posted on YouTube, it's looking at, and it's automatically indexing all of that for you so that you have the ability to get better and richer search results out of that effort. So my company, Kalua Labs, is a SaaS service provider. So it's an online service that can be used by other websites and other customers. Deliver highly focused search results, particularly for B2B and B2B commerce sites. So as you're searching for a product on the web, so it gives you the ability to look at reviews, look at videos on how to install that product, look at commercials, all kinds of things around how to actually get better targeted results. In order to deliver this to our customers, we've partnered with a number of cloud providers who allow us to host this service. We've also partnered with a number of AI and machine learning technologies to allow us to embed some really rich models behind this, and also the open source community, leveraging software that's already been built. And they're all really helping us to achieve the ability to deliver this at scale to very large customers. We expect to spend money on product development, hosting, licensing fees for the most part in our initial phase, and then make money off of this in two ways. One is a subscription service, and another is embedding this in other companies' offerings, where we hope to establish some more partners there as well.
Great, thank you.
Dan Paul. Masquerade Media. So Masquerade Media started about 7 years ago as a startup video game company designed for gaming for women specifically. We've since expanded the vision of me. Now we're looking really into partnerships with businesses that want to expand into the meta space, into the VR space. So all these kind of things, the innovations, whether it's med tech or anything virtual reality, comes from the gaming industry, and all those innovations are now being brought into really the Web 3.0. So when I say Web 3.0, I'm not just talking Web 3 with HTML5 and some of the other services, but also Meta. So Meta is now Facebook's kind of point for the VR world. It's a big step forward into getting all these businesses into virtual reality. Right? So you won't necessarily have a site that is just text and images, which is what websites have always been. In the future, going to have full experiences. So we're partnering with other companies to bring that experience to the web. and into, game stores. We still do games and apps for a number of different companies. We do sort of the classic standard ones, and we're also partnering with some other companies. One in New York called Coexistent Gaming, which has opened a giant sort of gaming innovation space in Times Square. We're looking to build a lab here. So the idea behind the lab here is that we'll have a full service of VR services that you can't just do with web tools. So if you need motion capture, you need scanning, you need any of those services, and you need the expertise to bring that to the meta space or anything virtual reality or anything, any of the stores too, because now you have all the different content stores. We're going to be able to create those libraries. We're going to be able to facilitate the needs of what meta is. So the future of meta is going to be sort of like what you saw in Star Trek back 20 years, right? The holodeck, you call up a table, it's there, right? You call up these things. So all these things are possible now with the invent of affordable VR goggles, which have been around VR goggles since the 90s when I first worked on VR projects for Disney and such. And so now it's just really consumer. All the things we think of back in the 90s that was part of the digital renaissance, right? AI, virtual reality, all these things, they were in theory being done. Now they're being commercialized. So we want to be a big part of that. And as a tech company, that's
Okay, great, thank you.
So my name is Christian. I'm the owner of Photo Booth, Epic's Photo Booth, a local photo booth service here in Tahoe. We basically do photo booth service, campaigns, parties, and brand activations. So my photo booth service provides value to engaged couples, event planners, by delivering a fun, high-end, memorable photo booth experience. In order to deliver value to our customers, we have partnered with venues and planners who help us achieve receptions and brand activations. And we expect to spend money on photo booth gear, fuel costs, a little bit of employment costs, and print and ink supplies. We plan to make money by photo booth rentals and also selling prints after taken. So if they like a photo, we can also sell them. Yeah, that's it.
Cool, thank you.
Can I ask you a question before you start?
Yeah.
And I know this is what we a lot of times do, is we get a little bit too in-depth as far as our explanation,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes it hard for people to know exactly what to do. Our first answer, the critique was not succinct or specific.
Mm-hmm.
And is that kind of something we want to be careful of, so we don't give too much information?
Well, the reason,
Especially in tech or something, it just goes over some things.
well, not just tech. I think that the big misconception is that people think it's just tech. And so when you're in a non-tech industry, everybody knows what I'm talking about. But we all have very specific jargon in our own industries. We have very specific ways that we say things that other people just might not understand. So it's important to realize it's not just tech, it's all of us. We're all susceptible to it. And that's why I created this ad lib, is to just remind us to all be very simple, to fill in the blank, tell us why we're here. There will be plenty of opportunity to give detailed information later if somebody was interested. So you don't want to just give it to them all up front and then they don't know what's going on. They're lost by all the extra words you're throwing in there. Hook them first, be very simple, be very succinct. When they're interested, then you can give them the backstory. You don't have to rush it all at once. You've got time.
So would you agree you can lose your client in the first 30 seconds by just
Yep.
walking down a road they're not familiar with?
Yep. Most at least executive level people I know, they don't read sentences. They don't read emails longer than 3 sentences. They don't have the mental energy to do it. I get an email and I've got so much time to respond to that email. It's one of 100. It's the same way in conversations, right? You've got a lot of people you're trying to talk to. You've got a lot of things you're doing, especially in this very distracted world we live in now. Give it to us very simply. And this ad lib actually is a great, write your emails using this ad lib. That's what I do. So all my emails are like 3 sentences unless they have to be longer, because you just want to get your point across. If you need to say more, it might be a conversation, Oh, but the acronym's short. No, explain your whole.
No,
No, well, the acronyms serve to actually alienate us. We don't know what you're talking about. It is. And even if you don't think it's industry specific, it is. I mean, there are so many different acronyms for the same thing. I used to say SBDC a lot. And in my world, everyone knows what SBDC is. But you guys probably, maybe not all of you do. It's a small business development center and it's a really great, right? But I used to say that one all the time, thinking it was just everyone knew that. There are probably acronyms that you use, and that's the actual word in your head. You're not thinking it's an acronym anymore. It's just what you've always called it. And so it's really important to be cognizant of it and be aware of it so that we're not losing people in the conversation when they didn't know what that was, you know?
They don't know necessarily know what it means.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're not in the same headspace you're in. They're not in your day-to-day. They're not in your world. You want to invite them into your world. So you want to make it really inviting by breaking down all those communication barriers. So I like to think of the business model canvas in scientific terms. Everything that you have put together on your canvas, each of your bullet points, think of that as a hypothesis to be tested. Everything that you put on there is a guess at this point. And if you put this canvas together with just known things, go back to it and put in a bunch of wants, put in a bunch of things that you want your business model to be eventually. Make this a set of things to be tested. These are your hypotheses, right? So they are your key assumptions you're making about your business model. The purpose of the canvas is to organize the way that we're looking at these things. And it helps you prioritize interview questions, but how you test each of those assumptions. I'll get into it. Interview questions are later. So testing your business model. I'm assuming that this value that I made is interesting. I'm assuming this customer segment wants it. I'm assuming that this partner is going to help me build my product. I'm assuming that product is going to be interesting to those customers. I'm assuming people are going to resonate with my relationship model. I am assuming that this is all of the costs I have. These are all assumptions to be tested. And the best way to test assumptions in your business model is to talk to people, is to have conversations. You can't test anything on Google. You can get background information. You can look up who to talk to on Google, but you're never going to make progress sitting at your computer. It's a really great saying. It's get out of the building. You have to get out of the building. Everything you do should be a handshake. It should be a conversation. It should be coffee. Talk to people, right? Your value, for example, if I'm assuming people care about this value, how do I test that assumption? I'm going to go talk to who I think my customers are. I'm just going to ask them. But it's not a sales pitch, right? I'm not out there telling them to buy my stuff. I'm out there as a student trying to learn more about them, trying to learn more about the jobs that they're trying to do, trying to learn more about the challenges they're facing and what types of products they are interested in purchasing or working with in order to address some of the jobs and the problems I have. All of these things need to be tested. So go through your canvas. First thing is you have to make sure there's no orphan blocks, because this sneaks up on you, right? Make sure you've got no items on any of your boxes that are standalone. So draw a line between them if you have to. And then second, all of the things that are really important to you, go through and test them by talking to people. So you can do this after today, but go up and call people, call partners, do everything you can to not sell to them though. Just ask them for their advice. I just want to learn about you. I want to learn what problems you're facing. You know, would you interact with me if I had an app? Would you interact with me if I had a newsletter? How would you like us to have a relationship? And then partners. You know, who else is interested in this type of product, or who else is interested in reaching this similar customer segment? Your key partners, again, are people that you partner with. Partners don't pay each other. They help each other get paid. Right? So who is interested in pooling value with you to create something new that you could turn around and sell? Who is that type of person? And then, you know, your cost and your revenue. These are all things to be tested. I always leave cost and revenue until the end because they don't matter if you're striking things off of your boxes on the top. So leave your cost and your revenue till the end. Remember to keep everything in bullet points, no long sentences. The purpose of this tool is to be a pivotable flexible way of looking at your business model. So don't put anything in there that's going to be hard to erase and change later. So I really like this graph because it explains what we're all doing here. So everything that you are doing right now with your assumptions and your guesses about your company are just uncertainty. So in order to reduce uncertainty and create value, right? Because as we reduce uncertainty, we generate value. We need to first quantify that uncertainty. And that is done by going through each of the things that we've just made assumptions about and saying, okay, these are all the things I don't know in my business. These are all of the ways I'm going to test my knowledge. And as you do that, you can turn these question marks and these unknowns into validations and have a business model that you know will be market tested and this is how people achieve product market fit, customer fit. They understand what their value proposition is. They all just talk to people. They're constantly testing and pivoting and changing as they go. And so that's kind of an overview of how you can do that. And that's it for me. If you guys have any questions.
Your statement about helping you develop value by talking to people. It's not a sales pitch. Is really intriguing. So maybe we could drill down a little bit. So it's not necessarily a partner because they're already vested or of interest in your space. So what are some places you would go to get that type of resource where you talk to people, maybe industry experts?
Industry experts. I would encourage you not to put these people in a box yet and say they're a customer or a partner, because those are things that you are validating. They can start in any of those boxes, but realize that they may change. These conversations, most of these conversations live in two camps. There's collaborative discussions and there's transactional discussions. And a lot of people by default walk into the transactional world because they are talking about their product, they're talking about themselves, they're talking about their features. These are all transactional terms. It ends up making it about you, selling to them, and the answer is going to be a yes or a no. That's a transactional conversation. So if you're approaching these people and you're like, here's my thing, what do you think? You get a yes or a no. People are interested or they're not. They're gonna lie to you because they don't want to hurt your feelings, and you didn't get as much out of that conversation as you could have. But a collaborative discussion is questions about the problem you're trying to solve, questions about their perspective as a potential customer, the squishy stuff. You know, you want them to complain and to tell you all about their problem and to just have a really great, comfortable conversation. And so everything that you're validating is not really about you. It's about the environment that you want to live in, and you're validating that that exists so that you can think about how your product could be positioned within that. You know, because people are a part of your business model and people are squishy. You know, we're not blocks that you can just line up.
Does not fit all.
Yeah. And so how do we determine how to work with these squishy blocks? We need to understand their human perspective.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for showing up. I hope you all enjoyed this. We do lunch and learns every single month on the second Wednesday of the month. We will be having another one on Wednesday, February 8th. The speaker is still to be determined. So if you're all on our mailing list, you should receive another announcement for the next one. But thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Have a good day.
Thanks, Lauren.